Well, here is what we are up to today. We are done chopping, fourth cutting. The boys have been working on getting tires switched on trucks to get ready for corn. Corn is all of a week to 10 days away. So we're gonna get this chopper ready for corn. I'm gonna open up the knife drum area and I'm gonna wash the knife drum off so that it is easier to remove the knives, and we're gonna put a new set of grass knives in it. We have run corn knives in the past. However, I don't feel that there's as much of a benefit to them to make it worth it. So we got the kernel processor here for the 8700. We've got a bunch of goodies over here on a pallet that goes, all this stuff goes to the 8700. We've got the drive pulley for the older processor, miscellaneous knives, drive belt, power shaft, corn saver, and what have you. Actually, no, that pulley there is the pulley for, well, I don't know what the heck this is. Yeah, that's the pulley off the blower. I don't know what that one is, but at any rate, there's a couple of pulleys there. And then this processor here is the processor that goes in the other chopper. Looks like they gave us, there's some plates here. We've got an 11-inch kernel processor that we are putting in that chopper. So let's get it opened up. We'll get the knives washed off. We'll get things cleaned up. And we'll just kind of show you what it all entails. This is going to be a little different as far as putting the processor in it. Same concept, but we got to pull the grass chute out because we're running a larger processor than what the other chopper has. So yeah, let's get it opened up. All right, we've got this opened up. I thought I would show you what 4 cuttings of hay makes a set of knives look like. But they're not in bad shape considering that they've been across several thousand acres here. But it's going to work out perfect to put new knives in it here, and then we'll be able to leave the knives in it and then go into hay here next year. And I'm hoping that I have enough knife left over to get through corn this year and 4 cuttings of hay. The last bit of hay that we did here the other day had a fair amount of moisture in it, and it cleaned the knives up pretty good. But in order to get these out, we'd have to pound a socket on every bolt, so I figured that I would just wash everything off and it would make things a lot easier. So we'll go ahead and get this washed off. Now, if I had to put corn knives in it, I would put the corn knives in. However, I would not put these knives back in for hay next year because there's not enough surface left to them. So maybe next year we'll run a corn knife if we end up depending on where we're at as far as whether or not we have to put knives in after second or third cutting before the last cutting. So we'll get this washed up, get it inside. All right, we are now ready to get rid of all the knives. We'll get them removed. We have pulled the shims out from underneath the spiral band. I had that shimmed up that far. And we'll flip this shear bar around, put a new set of knives in it, and we'll take you through the procedure of doing this job. I've got a new stone that we put on here ahead of fourth cutting. There's about 2/3 of the stone there. We'll have to raise that up as well. So we'll get these old knives off. We'll clean up these knife keepers, clean up the knife bed, show you the process that we go through to get the new knives on there. We're going to be using this Hercules impact. I've got some Hercules tools now. Jared and Andrew and Nate have been using Hercules for a while. The Milwaukee tools, we have trouble with the impact after it gets some age on it. The battery doesn't want to stay clipped, so we'll see how these here do. This has got a 12 amp hour extreme performance battery. I've got to get stocked up on a few batteries. I have one of these batteries and one 5 amp hour, so we'll see how this tool works. All right, all of the old knives are removed. We'll go through and wire wheel the knife bed. Now, what is different on this chopper compared to the other one? What there is a nut bar in here. Same thing the other chopper has, and all John Deere choppers. And the nut bar just kind of slides in. This has little Allen screws that hold the knife bar up, which is a good idea, because if any debris, the debris that's in there usually holds that knife bar up. But once you loosen that up and you get the new ones in, dust and dirt could drop in between the nut bar and the knife bed. Now they say to change the nut bars a little more frequently than what is kind of necessary, but yeah, it's that makes it a lot better. So I don't know if all the knife drums that they sell now are gonna be set up that way, like if you have to put a new drum in, if that'll be set up like that or not. But we did put a new knife drum in that 8700 when it was 5 years old, I believe. So we'll clean up the knife bed with a wire wheel. Now these knives, they've got the hard surface from my fingernail out left. About half of that distance there, I wouldn't run a knife past that. But these are not worth putting in for first cutting next year, because you shouldn't use the old bolts over again, and you'd have quite a bit of money involved in putting new bolts in, that it's just not worth changing over. Now, we have run a corn knife before, but to change to a corn knife, you have to use new bolts when you put them in. You take the hay knife out and go back and forth, and it's new bolts every time. 40 knives, 3 bolts a piece, it's 120 bolts. We have done it before. It didn't make sense to do it this time around. If I put a new set of knives in, say, at third cutting, I would want to put a new set of knives in for corn, and I would use corn knives then, because I have a reason to put the hay knife / grass knife back in. So we'll get things cleaned up, and yeah.
like, oh, I got a part number.
Alright, so we have our shear bar flipped. And what we need to do now is we need to move the shear bar out so that when we put the new knives in, we can put the knife in to the shear bar. So Deere gives you this tool here. This tool has two different measurements on it. The left side's 124.5 millimeters. That's the measurement that you use for a brand new knife. Then they give you another, the other side is 121.9, and you would use that measurement for putting in a used knife. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this tool right up against the shear bar, and then with it up against the shear bar right here, this tip here has to hit the drum. Right now it is against the drum, and we're probably 3/8 of an inch from the front side of the shear bar. Now we've got our adjusting motors here and here. I'm going to move this with the machine first. There is a tool which I should get that you can plug into these two motors with and use an electric switch to run both motors out. I'm going to do it with the machine. And this is okay to do it with the machine providing that the shear bar is straight. It has to be the same measurement on each side of the drum. I have been able to do it this way with the other machine for 7 out of the 8 times, and it has worked. Other times I've taken these motors off, but this one looks a little different. I don't know if there's 2 cap screws up through here. You would take that off and then turn this by hand, or what? So Sarah's in the seat. Go ahead. She's going to hit the shear bar adjusting motor switch. So that's mechanically or automatically running itself out. And then that will stop on its own. I have done this before and just keep getting in and out of the machine. So we are on this side here. It has, I think it has shut itself off because it's only going to go so far, and then I don't know, it must count the revolutions or something. So go again. We just want to make sure we don't go too far. We'll definitely have to take that motor off. Sounded like it quit. Moving anymore. Alright, so I need to move a little bit that way. Make sure. This seems to be off a little bit. right, now we can go and put all of our knives on. We'll get these knife keepers on there, and then we will set them right to the shear bar. So we've got 120 bolts to put in and 40 knives. So we'll get that set. I've got the stone moved to the top. The shear bar's all set, and we'll go ahead and get them in there. Alright, we've got all the knives in. Now we're just going to go through and torque them all. These 2 bolts here have a torque setting that's different from the center one. So the knives that we put a set of knives in the 8700 last year, and I noticed there was paint on them. Like, why are they colored? I think they were all one color last year. But this year, when we go to put these in, a little note comes in with the knives, and apparently these knives are balanced, or they're not balanced. There is a weight difference between them, and there's several different colors here, and there was no paperwork in the other knives. This same part number, HXC 185151. We've got a green knife, and then we've got a yellow knife. So what I did is I put a row of green on, then I did a row of yellow, then I did a row of green, then I did a row of yellow. So I don't know what the weight difference is. I don't know how much of a difference it matters, but we put it in according to the note that they had in there. Now what we need to do is torque these. Like I said, I'm going to get these torqued. I'm going to set the stone. Then we're going to put the corn saver in, and then we can get the shims put in on the spiral band. Then we can get this closed up here.
Yeah, we do. And I'll say,
All right, we've got the knives all in there. We've got the stone set. We've got our spiral band shimmed correctly to the knives. Now what we're doing is we're taking out the now that bar helps the stone sensor, stone detector work. So we're taking that out and we're putting in the corn saver panels. So we have this panel here that goes in underneath the feed rolls from the front, and then this one comes in at the back side, just in underneath that bottom feed roll. So this is all this bracket is here. It's a little different than what the 8700 had. The 8700 had just a flat bar. This wasn't notched like that, and I got this piece here we've got to bend back. So we'll put that in our chopper box and put our other pieces in there.